Have you ever thought of making a comic? No? Well, I did. Roughly a year and a half ago, I made a TikTok account with a goal of getting good enough at drawing to make a comic. And well, I sort of just did that. Hi there, my name is Patch, and I talk about art once in a while. All this sort of started one day when I was on YouTube looking for the perfect video to play in the background while I practiced drawing bare feet, as one does, when I came across a YouTuber called Plushalisa, I think she's called. She made a video about her entering 3 different manga competitions. I got the bright idea to just make my manga now for one of these competitions. Don't get me wrong, I was always going to make a comic or a manga by March next year, but I just decided why not just make it now. I plan and hopefully will be able to enter all 3 of these competitions next year, but unfortunately I don't have the time, so I only decided to enter one this year, which was the SME. For those of you who don't know, the Silent Manga Audition, aka the SMA, is an international manga audition where anybody from anywhere can participate. Each year, they give a theme and participants are supposed to make a manga based on that theme. It can be a single artist working on it, or a writer-artist duo, or even an entire group working on a manga. Although, before entering this competition, you have to be aware of one major rule. You are not allowed to have any dialogue. Which should be obvious considering the contest is literally called the Silent Manga Audition. This is to judge the manga in its rawest form because at the end of the day, manga is a visual medium. And if you can't tell a compelling story through visuals alone, well, let's just say you're gonna have to work on that. Like I said earlier, for each year of the SMA, a theme is given for participants to play around with. We're expected to conceptualize ideas and characters all related to the theme in hopefully unique and creative ways. The theme for this year was my dream. So I had to make a manga based on a dream, be it the dream of the main character or a generalized dream sold to a group of people. Now my brain immediately began brainstorming a bunch of ideas and I got one. A story about a girl who wanted to be an author, but after publishing her first book successfully, tragedy hits that sends her down a dark path, eventually ending on a somber note. I thought this was definitely a good idea, so I started working on it. But by the time I got to page 3, I started to realize this really isn't that good of a story. Not only was the art below the level I presumed I was at, but the story itself felt really boring. So I scrapped the idea and started to work on a different story. A young angel buys into the dream of righteous conquest against the tyranny of devils that his country sells him. His older brother tries to warn him that it's not as straightforward as he's being led to believe, but he ignores it. After several campaigns where he sees the true face of the dream he was sold, and after losing his friends and a couple of limbs to the fires of war, he's saved by his older brother, where he decides a better way to serve his country is by being a medic who saves lives, instead of one actively participating in the war. And while working on this, I started to realize my art was not nearly good enough to illustrate the kinds of images I was imagining for the comic, so I scrapped that. Then there was the idea of a girl trying to become an astronaut, which actually I'm just rambling on at this point. These are summarized versions of some of the ideas I had. I like to write short stories from the point of view of the protagonist to get into their heads and get a feel for how the story would develop. And after getting quite a few ideas over the course of a month, I realized none of them were satisfying. So I spent more time reading manga and brainstorming ideas. Till I was doing some head practice and came up with the most basic character design. I thought, this guy looks basic as hell. What if he did only one oddly specific thing? Like, he swings a sword from morning till evening. Wait, why is he swinging this sword? Does he want to be the strongest? Yes, he does. Why? To win the affection of a girl he likes. Why does being the strongest win her affection? Because she's the strongest. What's his name? Ichi. What's her name? Ni. Point is, the idea started to flow, and before I knew it, I finally got an idea that was simple and good for me. Making a draft for the story was surprisingly easy. I didn't make a short essay for the story unlike my other ideas. Instead, I immediately went straight into drawing the panel drafts and figuring out what was supposed to go where. But unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time that day, so I only did half the pages. Then I started inking the first page because I felt like it was a waste of time sitting around and just furiously thinking about how to panel the rest of the pages. And before I realized, I'd inked 2 pages.
Oh, shucks, guys, you didn't need to. Oh, who am I kidding? I love this. Keep it coming, guys.
Although it wasn't a lot, it made me feel like I could actually finish the manga in time. This day was horrendous. You see, my family decided to go out on vacation in order to go around, see new places, and have fun. Unfortunately for me, the deadline was also in 2 days. And my family definitely didn't care enough about this for me to miss out on, say it with me, family bonding time. So, I only managed to ink half a panel before getting dragged out to go see a lake. And finally, on the last day, I got the whole day to work on my manga. I barely got any sleep because I woke up terrified at the fact that I had less than 24 hours to ink 14 whole pages. So, I instantly got to work. And as I was working on inking on the pages, a multitude of ideas came flooding on how to panel out the final pages. So, my workflow was really messy, with me jumping from page to page, leaving some parts unfinished and working on new parts, then returning to unfinished parts. This was definitely a terrible idea since it led to me forgetting to add some finishing touches like focus lines, sound effects, screen tones, and gradients, leading to the manga feeling very flat. And unfortunately, I was riding the high of rapidly cooking up the story and didn't notice any of that till the day after. Eventually, as the day went by and I had only 1 hour left with 5 more pages to ink, I decided to cut out 4 out of the 5 pages and end the story on the 11th page. Fortunately, with the way the story had been set up, it could serve as a conclusion of sorts to the main character's arc. Though that kind of hurts because I went into this with the idea of both characters being the protagonists. I'm not sure about this, but I think there were some rules that state that I'm not allowed to post this story anywhere else, just in case I win and it becomes the company's product. But I highly doubt something like this stands a chance of getting anything other than a participation prize. So you get to see it for yourself now and be as harsh as possible in the comment section about how terrible it is from concept to art to execution and death. It's about a teenager called Ichi who calls his classmates Nii out after school for one final decisive battle. Fortunately, this was also one of the smoother sections since I had watched a video on how exactly to output the manga files to avoid any issues when posting it. I just had to answer a couple of questions and BAM! My 11-page manga one-shot was boosted. Overall, how would I rate this experience? Negative 20 out of 10, would not recommend, garbage. Joke aside, after watching my video, I think it's a no-brainer that I thought this was an extremely exhausting endeavor. Then even crazier, the result wasn't like the most exciting piece out there. Realistically, I don't think this is going to win any awards since the already bland story is incomplete. But I did want to at least try my hands at it. I'm definitely going to enter again next year and hopefully I'll work on this months before the deadline.